Danelle Brown had never imagined her life would shatter so completely in a single moment. At 24, she was supposed to be traveling the world, creating content for her growing social media following, capturing sunsets in Santorini and street food in Bangkok. She had studied technology at Stanford, yes, but her heart belonged to storytelling, to the camera, to the creative freedom that came with being an influencer. Her parents had supported her dreams, even celebrated them. Follow your passion, her father always said with that warm smile of his. The company will always be here. But the company was all she had left now. The accident happened on a rainy October evening. Her parents, Marcus and Jennifer Brown, were driving home from their anniversary dinner when their car veered off the highway and crashed into a concrete barrier. The police report said brake failure, mechanical malfunction, a tragic accident. But Danelle knew better. She felt it in her bones, in the way the investigation closed too quickly, in the way certain questions went unanswered. The brake lines had been tampered with, she was certain of it. Yet the investigation was ruled inconclusive. No evidence. No suspects. Just two brilliant lives extinguished, leaving behind a grieving daughter and a billion-dollar tech empire. 3 days after the funeral, her father's lawyer, Mr. Harrison, sat across from her in the mahogany-paneled conference room of Brown Technologies. His expression was grave as he slid a document across the table. Your father's will was very specific, Danelle. He named you as CEO of Brown Technologies, effective immediately upon his passing. Danelle stared at the papers, her hands trembling. Me? But I never wanted this. I don't know anything about running a company. Your father believed in you, Mr. Harrison said softly. He saw something in you that perhaps you don't see in yourself yet. The conference room door burst open. Her Uncle Bruce stormed in, his face red with barely contained rage, her Aunt Rhonda trailing behind him with a look of cold disapproval. This is absurd, Bruce shouted, slamming his fist on the table. Marcus named a child, an influencer who spends her days taking selfies, as CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company in crisis? I'm 24, Uncle Bruce, not a child, Danelle said quietly, though her voice shook. You might as well be, Rhonda added, her voice dripping with disdain. Brown Technologies is going through a severe downturn. We're losing market share. Our investors are nervous. This company needs capable hands, experienced leadership. Not some girl who knows more about Instagram filters than quarterly reports. Bruce leaned forward, his eyes hard. Rhonda and I have given our lives to this company. We've been here from the beginning, working alongside Marcus. We deserve to lead Brown Technologies, not you. Your brothers will says otherwise, Mr. Harrison interjected firmly. Our brother made a mistake, Rhonda hissed. A terrible mistake born from blind parental love. We're deeply disappointed in Marcus for this decision. They stormed out, leaving Danelle alone with the crushing weight of expectation and the bitter taste of family betrayal. That night, Danelle stood in her father's office, now hers, overlooking the city lights. She picked up a framed photo of her parents, tears streaming down her face. I don't know if I can do this, Dad, she whispered. But I won't let them destroy what you built. I promise you that. The first 6 months were hell. Danelle worked 18-hour days, learning everything from supply chain management to investor relations. She studied financial reports until her eyes burned. She sat in meetings with executives twice her age who questioned every decision she made. Her social media accounts went silent. The carefree influencer disappeared, replaced by a woman forged in fire. Her tech background became her secret weapon. While others saw a young girl playing CEO, Danelle saw inefficiencies in their systems, outdated processes that could be revolutionized. She implemented AI-driven analytics, streamlined their development pipeline, and personally oversaw the launch of 3 new products. The company stabilized. Then it grew. By month 6, business magazines were calling her the prodigy CEO. By the end of the first year, she had earned a new title, Woman of Steel. Danelle demanded excellence from every employee. She was sharp, decisive, and utterly uncompromising. Missed deadlines were unacceptable. Mediocrity had no place in her company. She wasn't cruel, but she was exacting. People respected her, some feared her, and many resented the young woman who had risen so impossibly fast. But with success came enemies. Dangerous ones. The threats started subtly. Anonymous emails. Strange calls in the middle of the night. Then they escalated. A brick through her office window. A suspicious package intercepted by security. Someone wanted her gone, and they were getting bolder. Which is why Donald became more than just her driver. He was her bodyguard, her protector, a former Marine who had been with her father for years. Donald was the one constant in her chaotic new world, the one person she trusted completely. "Miss Brown, we should vary your routes more," Donald said one morning as they prepared for a major tech conference across town. "These threats are serious." "I know, Donald," Danelle replied, checking her reflection in the rearview mirror of the bulletproof G63 AMG. "But I won't let them make me afraid. Fear is what they want. Courage is good. Caution is better," Donald said with a slight smile. They pulled out of the underground garage at exactly 9:15 a.m. The conference started at 10 o'clock, and Danelle hated being late. Traffic was light, and Donald took the usual route along the industrial district, a faster path that avoided downtown congestion. That's when it happened. The first gunshot shattered the morning silence. Then another. And another. "Get down," Donald shouted, swerving the G63 as bullets ricocheted off the bulletproof glass. He pulled the vehicle behind a concrete barrier, his training kicking in immediately. "Stay in the car. The glass will hold." Danelle's heart hammered in her chest as Donald stepped out to assess the situation, his hand on his weapon. She could see him scanning the abandoned warehouses, looking for the shooters. The shot came from nowhere. A sniper. Donald collapsed instantly. "Donald!" Danelle screamed, but he didn't move. Blood pooled around him on the pavement. More shots hit the car. The glass was bulletproof, but it wouldn't hold forever. Danelle could see the spiderweb cracks forming. Panic clawed at her throat. She fumbled for her phone, but her hands were shaking too badly to dial. 20 minutes passed like 20 hours. The shooting continued in sporadic bursts, pinning her down. She was trapped, helpless, watching Donald's lifeless body through the fractured glass. Then suddenly, a figure appeared. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, moving with lethal grace despite the danger. He reached the car door and knocked on the window. "If you want to live, follow my lead," he said, his voice calm despite the chaos. Danelle stared at him, her mind racing. Trust a stranger or stay and die. She unlocked the door. He pulled it open, shielding her with his body as more shots rang out. "Stay close. Move when I move. Don't think, just run." They ran. Bullets whizzed past them as the stranger led her through a maze of buildings, his hand gripping hers tightly. He knew exactly where to go, every corner, every blind spot. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a motorcycle hidden behind a dumpster. "Get on. In front of me. I need to shield you." Danelle climbed on, her designer dress tearing as she straddled the bike. The stranger mounted behind her, his body wrapped protectively around hers as the engine roared to life. More shots fired as they peeled away, weaving through traffic at impossible speeds. 15 minutes later, they pulled into an underground parking garage of a modest apartment complex. The stranger killed the engine and helped her off the bike. That's when Danelle noticed the blood. "You're hurt," she gasped, seeing the wound on his shoulder. "Graze." "I've had worse," he said, guiding her toward the elevator. "We need to get you inside." His apartment was surprisingly clean and minimalist. Large windows, simple furniture, everything organized with military precision. He led her to the couch, and she collapsed onto it, her entire body shaking. Only then did Danelle realize her face was wet. She touched her cheek, and her hand came away red. Donald's blood. She was covered in Donald's blood. The stranger disappeared into the bathroom and returned with a first aid kit and a damp towel. He knelt in front of her, his movements gentle as he wiped the blood from her face. "It's okay. You're safe now. Just breathe," he said softly. Danelle looked at him properly for the first time. He had dark hair, intense gray eyes, and a scar along his jawline. Despite the violence they'd just escaped, his hands were steady, his demeanor calm. "What's your name?" she whispered. "Arnold. Arnold Goodman." "Thank you, Arnold. You saved my life." He finished cleaning her face and stood up, moving to tend to his own wound. "I need to take care of this. There's water in the kitchen if you need it." Danelle sat in silence, processing everything. Donald was dead. Someone had tried to kill her. And this stranger, this Arnold Goodman, had appeared out of nowhere like some kind of guardian angel. After he'd bandaged his shoulder, Arnold brought her a glass of water. She drank it gratefully, her throat raw from fear and screaming. "I have to go," Danelle said, standing up on shaky legs. "I need to call the police, notify the company, find out what happened." "No," Arnold said firmly. "Those people were professionals. This wasn't random gang violence. Someone paid good money for a hit on you, and they'll be looking to finish the job." "How do you know that?" "Because I recognize professional work when I see it. The positioning, the timing, the execution. Whoever wants you dead has resources." Danelle sank back onto the couch. "So, what am I supposed to do? Hide?"
"For now, yes.
"Until we figure out who's behind this and why." He studied her face. "I'm guessing you have some idea."
She did.
Uncle Bruce. Aunt Rhonda. The board members who resented her. The competitors she'd outmaneuvered. The list was long. "Why are you helping me?" Danelle asked. "You don't even know me." Arnold was quiet for a moment. "Let's just say I'm a concerned citizen who doesn't like seeing innocent people murdered in the streets." "There's more to it than that." "Maybe," he admitted. "But that's a conversation for another time.
Right now, you need rest."
I'm going to get some supplies. Make yourself comfortable." He left, and Danelle was alone with her thoughts. She looked around the apartment, searching for clues about her mysterious savior. The bookshelf held military history and philosophy. The wall had a single framed photo of Arnold in uniform with what looked like his squad. No personal mementos, no signs of family. Arnold returned an hour later with bags of groceries, clothes in her size, toiletries, and a new phone still in its box. "How did you know my size?" she asked, eyeing the clothes. "I'm observant," he said simply. "The bathroom is through there. There's a guest room at the end of the hall. Fresh towels in the closet. You should clean up." The hot shower felt like heaven. Danelle watched Donald's blood swirl down the drain, her mind still reeling. When she emerged in the clean clothes Arnold had bought, simple jeans and a soft sweater, she felt almost human again. The smell of cooking drew her to the kitchen. Arnold had prepared pasta with a simple tomato sauce and fresh basil. The table was set for two. "Sit," he said, plating the food. Danelle sat, but didn't touch her fork. Arnold noticed. "You think I'd save you just to poison you?" he asked with a hint of a smile. "I don't know what to think anymore." He picked up his fork, took a bite of her pasta, chewed and swallowed. Satisfied. She felt foolish but also relieved. She was starving, and the food was surprisingly good. They ate in silence until Danelle couldn't hold back anymore. "Why are you really doing this?" Arnold set down his fork. "Because I've seen what happens when good people don't step up. And because something about this whole situation doesn't sit right with me. You're a CEO, you're young, you're successful, and someone wants you dead badly enough to hire professionals. That's not random. That's calculated." After dinner, Arnold turned on the news. Danelle's heart sank as she watched the footage. Breaking news. Violence in the industrial district this morning left one dead and Brown Technologies CEO Danelle Brown missing. Police are investigating what they believe to be gang-related violence. "Gang violence," Danelle said bitterly. "They're covering it up already." Which means whoever ordered the hit has connections. Police, media, maybe more. Arnold turned off the TV. "You can't surface until we know more. You'll work from here, and I'll investigate. Deal?" "Do I have a choice?" "There's always a choice. But some choices keep you alive longer than others." Danelle nodded.
"Deal."
The next few days fell into an unexpected rhythm. Danelle set up a makeshift office in the guest room, using the secure laptop Arnold provided. She worked on a new app she'd been developing, something she believed could revolutionize the financial tech sector. It tracked finances in real time and used AI to predict market trends and user behavior patterns. Meanwhile, Arnold became a phantom. He'd disappear for hours, returning with information, connections, leads. He had contacts Danelle couldn't fathom, people in places she didn't know existed. But in between the investigation and the work, there were small moments of normalcy. Arnold cooked breakfast every morning. Simple things, eggs, toast, coffee, exactly how she liked it after the first morning when he asked. He was meticulous, organized, and surprisingly good in the kitchen. "Where did you learn to cook?" Danelle asked one morning, watching him flip eggs with practiced ease. "The military. You learn fast when the alternative is starving or eating MREs for the rest of your deployment." "How long were you deployed?" "For years. 2 tours." "What made you stop?" Arnold was quiet for a moment. "I saw enough. Did enough. Sometimes you reach a point where you need to step back and remember what you're fighting for." Their conversations were brief, but meaningful. Danelle found herself looking forward to these moments, the quiet breakfast conversations, the evening debriefs, where they'd share what they'd discovered during the day. One night, deep into her second week in hiding, Danelle woke up screaming. She was back in the car. Donald was dying. Bullets were everywhere. The blood. So much blood. Strong hands grabbed her shoulders. Danelle, wake up. It's a dream. You're safe." She gasped, her eyes flying open to find Arnold kneeling beside her bed, his face concerned in the dim light from the hallway. "It's okay," he said softly, his voice gentle. "You're safe. It was just a nightmare.
Breathe.
In and out. That's it." Danelle followed his instructions, her breathing slowly evening out. But the fear lingered, clinging to her like a second skin. "I can't," she whispered. "I keep seeing him. Donald. He died protecting me." "I know," Arnold said. "And that's going to hurt for a while. But you honor him by staying alive, by not letting his sacrifice be in vain." Tears streamed down Danelle's face. "Please don't leave. I can't. I can't be alone right now." Arnold hesitated, then nodded. "I'll stay. Let me grab something." He returned with a pillow and blanket, settling onto the small couch in the corner of the guest room. "I'm right here. Try to sleep." Arnold. "Yeah. Thank you. For everything." "Get some rest, Danelle." She watched him in the darkness, his silhouette a reassuring presence. Slowly, her eyes grew heavy. When she woke in the morning, he was still there, his arms crossed, his head tilted back in sleep. He'd kept watch all night. Something shifted in her heart. After that night, their relationship deepened. They talked more, shared more. Arnold told her about his time in the service, the brothers he'd lost, the purpose he'd found in protecting others. Danelle shared her grief over her parents, her fear that she wasn't strong enough for the empire they'd left behind, her dreams of the life she'd given up. "You're stronger than you think," Arnold said one evening as they worked side by side, her on her laptop, him reviewing surveillance footage. "I've seen a lot of people in crisis. Most crumble. You adapted. That takes strength. I don't feel strong. I feel terrified." Fear and strength aren't opposites. The strongest people I know are the ones who are afraid, but do what needs to be done anyway. One evening, Danelle decided she'd had enough of Arnold's cooking. "My turn," she announced, shooing him out of the kitchen. "Your cooking is good, but mine is going to blow your mind." Arnold raised an eyebrow but complied, watching with amusement as Danelle moved around his kitchen with surprising confidence. She made herb-crusted salmon with roasted vegetables and a lemon butter sauce that made the entire apartment smell incredible. When they sat down to eat, Arnold took his first bite, and his eyes widened. "Okay, you weren't lying. This is amazing." Danelle grinned, the first genuine smile in weeks. "My mom taught me. She said a woman who can run a company and cook a great meal can conquer anything." "Your mom sounds like she was an incredible person." "She was," Danelle said softly. "They both were. Which is why I know the accident wasn't an accident. Someone killed them, Arnold. And I think it's the same person who's trying to kill me. Arnold set down his fork, his expression serious. Tell me everything. Every detail, every suspicion, everything that felt wrong about their deaths. They talked for hours. Danelle laid out her theory, the tampered brakes, the rushed investigation, the convenient timing just before a major company merger that would have made her parents billions. The more she talked, the clearer the picture became. Your Uncle Bruce, Arnold said finally. He had the most to gain from their deaths and yours. But he's family. Sometimes family is the most dangerous enemy of all. Money and power make people do terrible things. Arnold had been working with Danielle's trusted secretary, Maria, the only person at Brown Technologies who knew Danelle was alive. Maria had been with the company for 15 years and had been her father's right hand. If anyone could be trusted, it was her. The news Maria brought was devastating. The board, citing Danelle's disappearance and presumed death, had appointed Bruce Brown as temporary CEO. They were giving him 1 month to prove himself before making the position permanent. 1 month, Danelle said, pacing Arnold's living room. In 1 month, everything my parents built will be his. Then we make our move before that month is up, Arnold said. We bait whoever ordered the hit.
How?
Arnold smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator. You come back from the dead. The plan was risky. Danelle would attend the next board meeting, revealing herself to be alive. The shock would force whoever was behind the assassination attempt to make a move, to try again. And this time, Arnold would be ready. I have 5 friends from my unit, Arnold explained. The best soldiers I ever served with. They'll be positioned around the building, watching every entrance, every exit. And I'll be with you every step of the way. What if it doesn't work? What if they don't take the bait? They will. Because people who are willing to kill once will always try again when their first attempt fails. It's about eliminating the threat permanently. The day of the board meeting, Danelle dressed in one of her power suits, the armor she wore into battle. Arnold drove her to Brown Technologies in an unmarked car, taking a route that changed 3 times to avoid being followed. His 5 friends were invisible, blending into the crowd, the staff, the security. Only Arnold and Danelle knew they were there. When Danelle walked into the boardroom, the reaction was everything they'd anticipated.
Gasps.
Shock. Chairs scraping as people stood. And on Uncle Bruce's face, something that looked like horror. Good morning, everyone, Danelle said calmly, taking her seat at the head of the table. I apologize for my absence. As you can imagine, surviving an assassination attempt required some recovery time. Danelle, Bruce stammered, his face pale. We thought, the police said. The police said many things. Most of them were lies. She looked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. But I'm back now, and I have questions about who wanted me dead badly enough to hire professional killers. The meeting was tense, but Danelle commanded it with the same steel that had earned her reputation. By the end, she'd reasserted control of her company, and the news was already spreading. Brown Technologies CEO returns from the dead. Danelle Brown alive after assassination attempt. Woman of Steel survives professional hit. Arnold drove her back to his apartment, his eyes constantly checking the mirrors. Phase 1 complete. Now we wait. They didn't have to wait long. 1 week after her reappearance, Arnold's security system detected movement. 2 men, dressed as delivery workers, approaching the building. But their movements were wrong. Too calculated. Too precise. Arnold's team moved into position. When the 2 men tried to breach the building through the service entrance, they found themselves surrounded by 5 former Special Forces operators who were very, very good at their jobs. The police arrived. The men were arrested. And when they were interrogated, offered a plea deal in exchange for information, they gave up their employer. Bruce Brown. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank transfers. Recorded phone calls. Testimony from the men who'd killed Donald and tried to kill Danelle. Bruce had orchestrated everything. The death of his own brother, the attempt on his niece's life, all for control of Brown Technologies. The scandal rocked the business world. Bruce was arrested, charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Rhonda, who had known about the plot, was charged as an accessory. The night the arrest was made, Danelle stood in Arnold's apartment, watching the news coverage. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she just felt tired. "It's over," Arnold said quietly. "You're safe now." "Thanks to you," Danelle replied. "I don't know how to repay you for what you've done." "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do. You saved my life. Multiple times. You gave me shelter when I had nowhere to go. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Arnold smiled. "You would have been fine without me. Maybe. But I'm glad I didn't have to be." There was a moment of silence, heavy with unspoken words. Then Danelle picked up her bag. "I should go. Back to my house, my life. The company needs me."
"Right."
"Of course." Arnold walked her to the door. "If you ever need anything, I know where to find you." But as Danelle walked out of Arnold's apartment and into the waiting car, something felt wrong. Not dangerous wrong. Just empty. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. Danelle threw herself back into work with renewed intensity. She cleaned house at Brown Technologies, removing every board member who had supported Bruce, bringing in fresh talent, people who believed in innovation and integrity. And her app, the project she'd worked on while hiding, was finally ready. The launch gala was held at the Grand Meridian Hotel, the most prestigious venue in the city. Tech leaders, investors, and media from around the world attended. Danelle had spent weeks preparing her presentation, refining every detail. She stood backstage in a stunning midnight blue gown, her hair styled in elegant waves, her makeup flawless. She looked every inch the powerful CEO. But inside, she felt hollow. She missed him. She missed Arnold's quiet presence, his steady confidence, the way he made her coffee in the morning without being asked. She missed their conversations, the easy silences, the feeling of safety she'd only ever felt with him. As she stepped onto the stage, the applause was deafening. She began her presentation, explaining how her new app would revolutionize personal finance and business analytics. The crowd was captivated. Investors were already approaching her team with offers. But Danelle's eyes kept scanning the audience, searching for one face. And then she saw him. Arnold stood near the back, and he wasn't in his usual tactical gear or casual clothes. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair styled, looking so different yet so familiar. Their eyes met across the room, and Danelle's heart skipped. She finished her speech to thunderous applause, but she barely heard it. She made her way through the crowd, accepting congratulations, shaking hands, all while moving toward him. When she finally reached Arnold, he smiled. "I'm proud of you, Danelle. This app, what you've built, it's incredible." "You came," she said, her voice breathless. "Of course I came. I wanted to see you succeed." They moved away from the crowd, finding their way to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The night air was cool, the lights below twinkling like stars. "I heard you're going back to your father's company," Danelle said. "Goodman Enterprises." Arnold nodded.
"Yeah."
"My father and we've had our differences. But it's time I stopped running and stepped up to my responsibilities. Kind of like someone else I know." "Your father is Warren Goodman." Danelle shook her head in disbelief. "The richest man in Ohio. And you never mentioned it." "It didn't seem relevant. Besides, I liked that you didn't know. You treated me like a person, not like a trust fund. You were always a person to me, the person who saved my life." "And you saved mine," Arnold said softly. "How did I save yours?" "By reminding me what's worth fighting for. By showing me that strength and vulnerability aren't opposites."
"Bye."
He paused, turning to face her fully. "By making me feel something I thought I'd lost the capacity to feel." Danelle's breath caught. "Arnold, I missed you," he said, his voice raw with honesty. "Every single day since you left. This apartment felt empty. My life felt empty. You were there for weeks, and somehow you became part of everything." "I missed you too," Danelle whispered. "So much. I'd wake up expecting to smell coffee brewing. I'd have a thought and turn to share it with you, but you weren't there. Nothing felt right without you." Arnold stepped closer, his hand reaching up to cup her face. I told myself it was better this way. That you needed to get back to your life, and I needed to get back to mine. That what we had was just circumstance, survival bonding. Was it? Danelle asked, her eyes searching his. No, he said firmly. It was real. You are real. This, what I feel for you, it's the realest thing I've ever known. Then why did you let me leave? Because I wanted you to be sure. I wanted you to go back to your world and be certain that what you felt wasn't just gratitude or trauma bonding. I needed to know that when you chose me, if you chose me, it was because you wanted to, not because you felt obligated. Danelle felt tears prick her eyes. I choose you, Arnold. I chose you the moment you pulled open that car door and told me to trust you. I've been choosing you every day since. Arnold's smile was brilliant, transforming his usually serious face. Then I choose you too. Every day, for as long as you'll have me. He kissed her, and it was everything. Gentle and fierce, tender and desperate, a kiss that held weeks of longing and fear and hope. Danelle wrapped her arms around his neck, and Arnold pulled her closer, as if he could make them one person. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Danelle laughed. The woman of steel and the soldier. What a pair we make. The best kind, Arnold said, pressing his forehead to hers. The kind that survives anything. Over the next months, their relationship blossomed. Arnold took his position at Goodman Enterprises, working alongside his father to expand their real estate and investment portfolio. Danelle continued revolutionizing Brown Technologies, her app becoming one of the most successful launches in recent tech history. But they made time for each other. Dinners where they cooked together, Arnold still burning things while Danelle laughed. Weekends away from the spotlight where they could just be Danelle and Arnold, not the CEO and the heir. Quiet mornings where they'd drink coffee and read the news, their feet tangled together on the couch. Arnold met Danelle's extended family, the ones who had supported her through everything. Danelle met Warren Goodman, who looked at his son with new respect when he saw how happy Arnold was. She's good for you, Warren told Arnold one evening. I haven't seen you this alive in years. She's everything, Arnold replied simply. 6 months after the gala, Arnold took Danelle back to his apartment, the place where they'd first found each other. Why are we here? Danelle asked, looking around the familiar space with fondness. Because this is where our story really began, Arnold said. This is where I learned what it meant to protect someone not out of duty, but out of love. He got down on one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, simple and elegant, a diamond surrounded by sapphires. Danelle Brown, you are the strongest, bravest, most incredible woman I've ever known. You've survived assassination attempts, corporate coups, and family betrayal. You've built an empire and changed an industry. But what I love most about you is how you make me want to be better. How you make me believe in tomorrow. Will you marry me? Danelle was crying, happy tears streaming down her face.
Yes.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. Arnold slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, lifting her into his arms and spinning her around. Their laughter filled the apartment, joy and love and hope for the future. Their wedding was intimate, held in a garden venue with only close friends and family. Danelle wore a simple white gown, elegant and understated. Arnold wore his dress uniform, standing at the altar with 4 of his former team members as groomsmen. When Danelle walked down the aisle, Arnold's eyes filled with tears. She was radiant, glowing, perfect. And she was his. I used to think strength meant standing alone, Danelle said in her vows. But you taught me that real strength is knowing when to let someone stand with you. You've been my protector, my partner, my best friend. You've seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. I promise to spend the rest of my life showing you what that means to me. Arnold's voice was steady but emotional. I've faced enemies on battlefields and in boardrooms. I've survived things that would break most people. But nothing prepared me for you. You didn't just survive, you thrived. You didn't just ask for help. You trusted me with your life. And in doing so, you gave me something to live for beyond just survival. I promise to protect you, to support you, to love you fiercely for the rest of our days. When they kissed, their friends and family erupted in applause. At the reception, Warren Goodman pulled Arnold aside. "Your mother would have loved her, you know. Danelle reminds me of her. Strong, brilliant, unafraid." "I know, Dad," Arnold said, watching Danelle laugh with Maria across the room. "I know." Danelle's app continued to dominate the market. Brown Technologies became the fastest-growing tech company in the nation. Arnold and his father expanded Goodman Enterprises into new markets. But more than their professional success, Arnold and Danelle built a life together. They bought a house, modern but warm, with a big kitchen where they cooked together on Sunday mornings. They adopted a rescue dog, a German shepherd they named Scout. They traveled, not for business, but for pleasure, visiting the places Danelle had once dreamed of filming for her followers. One evening, 2 years after their wedding, they sat on their back porch watching the sunset. Danelle was curled into Arnold's side, his arm around her shoulders. "Do you ever regret it?" Arnold asked quietly. "Giving up your influencer dreams, your content creation?" Danelle was quiet for a moment, then shook her head.
No.
"Because I learned something important. I thought happiness was freedom to do whatever I wanted. But real happiness is choosing something meaningful and building it with someone you love. I'm creating content every day, just different content. Apps that help people. A company that innovates. A life with you." "I love you," Arnold said, kissing the top of her head. "I love you too. My guardian, my partner, my everything." 3 months later, Danelle made an announcement at a Brown Technologies board meeting that surprised everyone. "I'm pregnant," she said with a glowing smile. "And yes, I'll still be running this company. But I'm also going to be raising the next generation of innovators." Arnold was there, sitting in the back of the room where he always watched her presentations, and his smile was brighter than the sun. Their daughter was born on a crisp spring morning. They named her Jennifer Marcus Goodman Brown, after both of Danelle's parents. She had Arnold's gray eyes and Danelle's determined smile, and from the moment Arnold held her, Danelle knew she'd never seen him more complete. "She's perfect," Arnold whispered, tears streaming down his face as he cradled his daughter for the first time. "She's ours," Danelle said, her own tears falling. "Our miracle. Our second chance at everything." As the years passed, their love only deepened. Jennifer grew into a brilliant, compassionate young woman who inherited her mother's business acumen and her father's protective heart. She witnessed firsthand what it meant to build an empire on integrity, to love fiercely, and to never give up even when the world seemed determined to break you. On their 10th anniversary, Arnold and Danelle returned to his apartment one last time before selling it. They stood in the living room where she'd first felt safe, where he'd first allowed himself to hope. "This place saved us both," Danelle said softly, looking around at the empty space. "No," Arnold corrected, pulling her close. "We saved each other. This place was just where we figured that out." They locked the door for the last time and walked hand in hand into the evening light, ready for whatever came next. Because they'd learned the most important lesson of all, that love isn't about never falling down. It's about choosing to get back up, together, every single time. The woman of steel and her guardian had conquered fear, defeated enemies, built empires, and created a family. But their greatest victory was simply this: they had found each other in the darkness and chosen to walk into the light, side by side, for the rest of their lives. And that was the most extraordinary story of all. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Danelle and Arnold's story reminds us that our darkest moments can become doorways to our greatest blessings. That love can bloom in the most unexpected places. That we are never too broken to be healed, never too lost to be found. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear that even in their darkest hour, hope is possible. Love is possible. Redemption is possible. Drop a comment below. What would you do if you had to trust a stranger to survive? Have you ever found love in an unexpected place? I read every comment, and I love hearing your stories. Remember, you are stronger than you know, braver than you believe, and worthy of a love that sees all of you and chooses you anyway. Your story isn't over. The best chapters might still be unwritten. Stay blessed, stay strong, and keep believing in love. Until next time, this is your storyteller reminding you that sometimes the person who saves you is the one you were always meant to find. God bless you all. Red Heart Sparkles. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.